We are talking about Pumpkinhead 1998. Is it awesome or awful? We're about to find out. Welcome, everyone. This is Mike from FearShop.com. Today, we're talking about Pumpkinhead from 1998. Is it awesome or awful? After his son is killed in a motorcycle accident, a farmer invokes the powerful demon Pumpkinhead in his quest for revenge in this horror film. He soon comes to regret his actions, however, and attempts to stop the demon, but he may already be too late. This film, again, 1988, directed by Stan Winston, written by Stan Winston, Gary Girani, Richard C. Weinman, Mark Patrick Caducci. It was released in theaters October 14th, 1988. Runtime of 86 minutes. Stars Lance Henriksen, which I'll take in any movie, as Ed Harley. Jeff East as Chris. John D'Aquino as Joel. And Kimberly Ross as Kim. So, director Stan Winston's directorial debut. Of course, he's a legendary special effects artist. He went on to direct, not too much of note, but did produce Wrong Turn, Hellraiser, Deader. Not sure those are of note either, but films that I've watched a few times. I definitely enjoy Wrong Turn 2 more than the original. Alright, so this film, Pumpkinhead, has earned multiple sequels and even a comic series. Its theatrical release twice, actually. It was released a couple weeks before Halloween in 88 and then again in January of 89. The release didn't go amazingly well, but once it hit home video, it started to amass a following. Lance Henriksen's done a ton of things, and I will always welcome a film with him in it. So, this video is all about Pumpkinhead and trying to figure out if it's awesome or awful. The way we do that is we break down the awesome elements, we break down the awful elements. The side that has the most points wins. And at the end of the video, we have a verdict on whether the film is awesome or it's awful. So let's get into the awesome points. First and foremost, Lance Henriksen. It's great actor. Been in a ton of things. Like I said, welcome him in any movie. So it was great to see him in there. It was one of the main reasons I kind of got excited for this movie when it came out. Also because, it was a horror movie. It was coming out in the theaters, and I pretty much would consume anything horror, even back then, just like I do now. Another awesome element, great imagery. The film looks creepy. It's dark and atmospheric. That part was just done so well. Another awesome element, I think that Pumpkinhead stands above its peers at the time. It was not great, but better than most of what was out there. It was a strange time in horror. You talk about the tail end of the 80s. Obviously Friday the 13th was still going on as well, but that's where Friday the 13th was starting to get into the wacky movies, and it was right around the time of Manhattan. Franchises were kind of dying down a little bit. Obviously, everybody kind of blames the Scream and I know What You Did Last Summer for the 90s. They were part of the problem, if you want to call them a problem. I don't think either was a horrible movie. I think Scream was a really good movie. I think I Know What You Did Last Summer was okay at best. They were different kinds of movies, and it was a lot of what happened in the 90s in there. And so this film kind of came out. It was an 80s film, right? And it was one of those horror movies, and those were really starting to die down before the 90s resurgence came out. So another awesome element. It was a decent attempt at practical effects. I'm still not sure if this is awesome or awful, though. We're going to call it awesome, though, because I'm always going to be down for practical effects. Another awesome element. Horror, fantasy, supernatural, slasher, and tragedy all bundled into one. It's one of those films where there was a lot going on, but not in an overbearing kind of way. Another awesome element. The film was deep with regret for even conjuring up the creature. It could have been a revenge tale, but the story went deeper than wanting revenge and conjuring a creature, and then a creature getting revenge and killing the conjurer as well. It's just a lot going on in there, but something that was written really well and played out really well. So that's all my awesome elements for Pumpkinhead. So let's talk about the awesome parts, or the awful parts of Pumpkinhead. Outside of Lance Henriksen, most of the acting is subpar at best. You know, we weren't expecting awards for any of these roles or anything like that, but we could have done a little bit better on there. Awful. The creature effects. I really can't believe I'm saying this, but you take a legendary effects artist known for, the Terminator series, the first 3 Jurassic Park films, Aliens, the first 2 Predator films, and much more. Here you have a clunky creature. It's just, created and basically grabs people's heads and shake them a little. It's such a miss in my eyes. They could have done so much more. The creature kind of looked good, but, the whole thing of just like, I'm going to grab you and I'm going to shake your head. It was, like I said, really missed a big one here. And another awful element, the characters are thin. Kind of a little bit of a surprise here, given the depth to which some of the other characters were developed. But there was just so many forgettable characters in a movie that a lot of people deem as being one of the classics of the 80s. It was definitely good enough for a few sequels. So, it definitely wasn't a horrible movie. So that's really it that I have for awful. So the verdict of this one is that Pumpkinhead from 1988 is indeed awesome. I'm going to be honest. I thought I would weigh the positives against the negatives, and the negatives would edge out the positives. But I'm happy to report that Pumpkinhead is actually awesome. Very great news, because like I said, I didn't think I was really going to fall on that side of things. To be honest, Pumpkinhead is not a series I watch very often. It is, to me, one of the weakest franchises in horror. There's a lot of bad franchises out there, but excluding the big ones, right? Excluding the Friday the 13th and the Nightmares and the Halloweens and things like that. I think after those 3, you kind of start to get a drop off. The Exorcist series has some good ones. Obviously, Exorcist is my favorite movie. I think Exorcist 3 is awesome. Franchise as a whole, we kind of forget about. And then there's other ones like the Poltergeist series. The first film's awesome, and the others are a little shaky. But I'll take the Wishmaster series over the Pumpkinhead series. So that's about where I would weigh the Pumpkinhead series. I've said this before a bunch of times. Not a huge Child's Play fan, and I still think I like that series better than this one too. Pretty much any franchise I can think of, maybe with the exception of like Sharknado, I'm going to take over the Pumpkinhead series. But with that being said, the original Pumpkinhead, not a half bad movie. Apparently, as we learned today, it's pretty awesome. So, let me know what you think about this one in the comments below. Do you think it's awesome or awful? I'd be very curious to see where people fall on this one, because I hear a lot of praise for the movie, and I definitely don't feel myself, if I was to rate this, 1 out of 10, I don't see me getting very close to a 10 on this one. I'd really have to take a step back and think about it. But to me, it's a middle of the line kind of movie. So that kind of wraps this one up. Make sure you're leaving your comments on this video. Make sure you're checking out the channel. We got a ton of playlists. There's a ton of videos that we keep publishing. We're publishing 2 videos a week. Let me know what kind of videos you like to see. People really are liking this Awesome vs. Awful series, so we're pumping those out at least once a week, if not even twice a week. So until the next episode, make sure you like this video, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, make sure you're signed up for notifications, leaving those comments, but most of all, make sure you keep it horror.